Catholic? Crickets and confusion. Choosing to be Catholic is provocative. It's countercultural. It's literally the opposite direction our culture is going. The Pew Research Center completed a massive national religious study surveying more than 30,000 Americans, which found that exactly half, 50% of millennials who were raised Catholic no longer call themselves Catholic today. That's massive attrition. Half of young Catholics have already left the church, with more likely following in the future. That explains why former Catholic continues to be one of America's largest religious groups. The study also found that roughly 80% of people who left the Catholic Church have left before age 23. These aren't lifelong Catholics who stay on the fence for decades before drifting away. They're young people in high school or college or young adults, people the same age I was when I chose to become Catholic. Perhaps most telling, the Pew study revealed something called the loss-gain ratio. This is the ratio of people who leave a particular religious tradition divided by the people who join, excluding births and deaths. Ideally, you want your loss-gain ratio to be less than 1, meaning your religion is losing fewer people than you're gaining. Unfortunately, in the latest survey, no Christian group had a loss-gain ratio less than 1. In other words, every Christian tradition is losing more people than it's gaining. But do you know which religious group owned the worst loss-gain ratio of all? Catholicism. The Catholic Church's loss-gain ratio was a staggering 6.45. That means for every one person walking in the front door of the Catholic Church, more than 6 leave through the back door. That's a worse ratio than Baptists, Evangelicals, Methodists, Mormons, Muslims, Jews, and Hindus, even worse than atheists and agnostics. The Catholic Church is hemorrhaging people, especially young people. So why be Catholic? Surely anything else would be better. Maybe some other form of Christianity, or even a mystical Eastern faith, or perhaps some do-it-yourself spirituality. But why Catholic? I wrote this book to answer that question. I'm not part of the 50% of millennials who left the church. I'm not one of the 6.45 who continually stream out the back door. I'm the one who joined. I'm the one who deliberately chose Catholicism, who carefully studied and wrestled with its claims, who prayed, read, thought, and discussed, and came out the other end a Catholic. I'll admit it's a weird decision. It goes against the grain. It's radical. It is, in a word, rebellious. But that's precisely what makes it worth considering, and, dare I say, exciting. It's easy to swim downstream, to accept the status quo. What's hard is to be a rebel, to look with fresh eyes on something most people reject and say, what if they're mistaken? What if anything but Catholic should perhaps be what else but Catholic? These same questions struck G.K. Chesterton. He was one of the most popular and prolific English journalists of the early 20th century, writing more than 100 books and more than 5,000 essays and lecturing all over the globe. But in 1922, he stunned the world by announcing his conversion to the Catholic Church. Friends and family were just as confused as mine were almost a century later. They thought this normally straight mind had gone horribly off the rails, asking him accusingly, "Why would you become Catholic?" Chesterton replied, as was his wont, with an essay. He titled it plainly, "Why I Am a Catholic," and he began it by saying, "The difficulty of explaining why I am a Catholic is that there are 10,000 reasons all amounting to one reason, that Catholicism is true." That's a great answer, and it's mine too. It's the main reason to accept any belief, philosophy, or worldview. Whether we're talking about Christianity,